This week, Dame Angela Eagle was in the hot seat, and she was taking no nonsense from Trevor Phillips. The topic this week centred around immigration and boat crossings. Now it's deemed as illegal immigration, but we all know that doesn't really exist. And just so we're all on the same page, they can only be illegal if they've had their asylum application processed and it's been denied and they've absconded before they've been deported. By the way, for the purpose of this video, we'll refer them as illegal immigration so that we know what we're talking about. During the interview, Trevor does his usual Tory spin, but at one point he even gets up a graph, and it's clearly doctored to put the Tories in a favourable light, something that Angela points out. And from what she says on how they're handling it, I've actually got faith in what they're doing. As we've seen over the past couple of weeks, Chris Philp is falling back on his failed Rwanda plan as being the saver of all illegal immigration. This, bear in mind that they already spent £700 million on it and they only sent a total of 4 volunteers. It was then going to also cost a further £1.8 million per person they wanted to send to Rwanda, and they actually did spend £50 million on chartered flights that never actually took off the ground. All in all, an epic waste of money. And yet, in the interview today, Dame Angela Eagle explains very clearly what the current government is doing, which sounds more like a practical solution. It may take a bit longer, but it's going to have a better outcome long term, such as making international arrangements to stop the boats coming across in the first place. And they've already sent 13,500 people back, started processing people, everything that the Tories didn't do.
It looks as though the number of people coming across Channel in small boats is going to hit 35,000 this weekend. Now, the majority of those have come since you took office. We've had storms, temperatures dropped over the last 3 months. Yeah, last Thursday was the busiest December day ever, we think.
That was partially because we had 9 days with no arrivals.
Yeah, but
and
okay.
what happens when you have but what happens when you have an industrialised, people smuggling, gang-related issue going on at the borders is there gets to be pent-up demand when you can't cross, and then if there comes a day when it's likely that you can, you're likely to get more than you normally would. Indeed. So this is just why we have to tackle the gangs.
Indeed. Well, what happened to smashing the gangs? They seem resolutely unsmashed.
Well, the first thing to say is they're established, very well established, and they've been allowed to industrialise their process. What we're doing to come to agreements with Germany, we had the Calais Group meeting last week, chaired by the Home Secretary and her German counterpart, with the French, the Dutch and the Belgians. We need more cooperation cross-border operationally, which is why we've set up the Border Security Command. But I'm not going to sit here, Trevor, and say that when you're presented with something that's this well established and this sophisticated, that I can get out a magic wand and wave it and it'll all be OK in 5 months. That is why the Home Secretary was in Italy, coming to a joint agreement about taking down some of the financial structures that the gangs use to finance their activities.
I want to come to that. And
so bit by bit, we are going to dismantle
It's perfectly fair for you to say that you've got to take time. How long before we see these numbers coming down?
Well, it's a priority to get the numbers down, but we've got...
how long should we wait?
We've got to get...
We have to wait.
We've got to get a handle on all of these operational things. So I'm not going to sit here and give you a date. We've made a good start in 5 months. We've done a lot of international work with our partners. We are also now starting some advertising in some of the source countries, working with our partners as well to show potential victims of people smuggling. But I'm not going to pretend that I know when it'll get down to zero. We are going to reduce it. We will do it steadily.
I will not... OK, let me ask you about, just for a couple of pieces of information. You announced that you've, as you said, returning more than 13,000 individuals. You've sent 33 flights abroad. Which countries are they going to?
Well, there's a range of countries.
But what are the top countries?
Vietnam, Timor-Leste, Brazil. We got the first flight off to Nigeria, Pakistan, Albania. We came across a system where the last government had really stopped enforcing the results of asylum. If you're here illegally, we want you to leave.
You say the last government wasn't doing it, but actually the truth is that, in fact, they were raising the number of people returns. Have a look at this
the returns had halved from 2010.
Yeah, but you can see why returns at half. 2020, remember COVID?
Yes, I do remember.
The point is that in 2023, enforced returns were up by 54%, voluntary
But if you
returns
took
by
that
even
graph
more.
further, by the way, if you took that graph further back to 2010, you'd see that they'd halved.
Yeah, but your number of 13,000, 13,500 that you're claiming is about the last 5 years. And my point is that the numbers were going up under the Tories, and actually there's no embarrassment about simply saying that you are carrying on the trend that they established.
No, we are.
You're doing pretty much the same thing.
We are doubling down on it. We've got far more people working on it. We're doing far more enforcement of illegal working in the labour market. So there's a 30% increase in the number of enforcement visits, more arrests, more people arrested for employing people illegally. And we'll carry on enforcing the rules that haven't been properly enforced in recent years.
The Tories are so out of ideas that they've fallen back on this Rwanda plan, and even the media are getting sick of hearing it. Don't believe me? Well, you need to watch the video on screen now then. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.